The grand chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered with cold light. Towers of glass and silver curved overhead, holding banners of 100 worlds. Ambassadors filled the seats in a half-circle, each speaking in hushed tones, their voices blending into a low hum like a swarm of distant insects. Every race in the galaxy had sent a representative. All were here for one reason: to decide the fate of one human warship. They called it the Iron Rain, a black hole giant built for deep space warfare. It had no official registry and no place in any known fleet. Some claimed it had been built in secret under Earth's polar ice. Others swore it was older than the Terran Federation itself. It was a ghost in the void, appearing in battle zones it had no right to reach, destroying threats that no one else could stop, and then vanishing without a trace. To the humans, it was a shield. To everyone else, it was a problem that refused to go away. Ambassador Liron of the Vask Dominion leaned forward, scaled hands gripping the edge of the table. The Iron Rain has violated every code of war we have agreed upon. It entered neutral space without permission. It interfered in conflicts where the Council had declared non-intervention. And, he paused for effect, it uses technology that is forbidden under galactic law. Murmurs filled the chamber. Several delegates nodded in agreement. Others shifted uneasily in their seats. Admiral Corin Hale, the human representative, stood in his dark uniform, shoulders squared, eyes calm. The Iron Rain saved lives, millions of them. Your laws could not. While the Council debated, we acted. While you counted votes, we stopped enemies that would have burned your worlds. Sharp voice cut in from the other side of the chamber. And in doing so, said the Jalari envoy, her translucent skin catching the chamber's light, you humans broke the very order that keeps the galaxy from tearing itself apart. What happens when another species does the same? When another decides they, too, are above the law? The difference, Hale replied evenly, is that we don't conquer, we leave. The Iron Rain does not take planets, it protects them. The Speaker of the Council, an ancient Tavor, with eyes like molten gold, raised a clawed hand. The noise died instantly. Enough. The question before us is not about intent. It is about the ship itself. Does the Iron Rain pose a danger to galactic stability, and if so, must it be banned and destroyed? Outside the chamber, massive screens broadcast the trial to billions across the galaxy. In marketplaces, shipyards, and spaceports, people stopped to watch. Some whispered in fear, others whispered in hope. The Iron Rain had become a legend, and legends were dangerous. The vote was scheduled for midday. Once cast, the decision would be final. The humans would have to comply or face the combined might of the Council. But just as the speaker prepared to call the vote, sound rolled through the chamber like distant thunder. It was deep, low, and alive. The delegates glanced upward as the silver ceiling above them trembled. Dust fell from ancient beams. Through the vast skylight, something moved against the black canvas of space, a shadow, larger than any station, larger than any fleet ship in orbit. Then came the voice. Not over comes, not through translation nodes. It was direct broadcast, on every open channel at once. This is Admiral Kalen Ward of the Iron Rain. The trial is over. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Oh, the humans had not been told Ward would come. They had not even known where the Iron Rain was. High above HFY Prime, the black warship slid into view. Its hull devoured the starlight, broken only by the burning red of its drive ports. Weapons arrays, cold and silent, lined its flanks like the teeth of some ancient predator. It should not have been able to bypass the orbital defenses. It should not have been able to appear here without warning. Yet it had. The speaker rose from his seat. You are in violation of Ward's voice, cut him off. I am in violation of nothing that matters. Your laws cannot stop what's coming. Your fleets cannot fight it. Your vote today will mean nothing when the sky opens. The chamber erupted in shouts, translations clashing over one another. Hale turned sharply toward the projection feed, his voice low and urgent. Kalen, what are you doing? What you can't, Ward replied, and then, without another word, the Iron Rain turned away from the planet, its engines igniting in a crimson blaze. It didn't run toward safety. It ran toward the dark edge of space, the uncharted sectors, where no council patrol dared to go. In the chamber, silence settled like ash after fire. The speaker's golden eyes narrowed. "Find that ship. Bring it here. If the humans will not surrender it, we will take it." Outside, the shadow of the iron rain vanished into the void. No one knew where it was going or what it was running toward. But everyone understood one thing. The trial was not over. It had only just begun. The iron rain moved through the uncharted sector like a phantom, its engines whisper quiet despite the size of the ship. Space outside the viewports was darker here, the stars fewer and colder, as though even light was reluctant to touch this region. The crew worked in tense silence, their faces lit by the pale glow of consoles. They all knew the council would send everything it had. But Admiral Kalen Ward wasn't running. He was hunting. Deep inside the ship's command deck, the air smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Strange glyphs pulsed faintly along the black alloy walls markings no human hand had made. The Iron Rain was a Terran vessel, yes, but its bones were something older. Some crew members whispered that Ward had found it drifting in the void and rebuilt it.
Oh, yeah.
Others believed it had been given to Earth by something not entirely human. No one knew the truth. And Ward wasn't telling. At the navigation station, Lieutenant Mara Vance traced a holographic path through the sector. "We've crossed beyond charted space. No known jump gates within 3 light years. Pursuit is likely delayed." "Likely," Ward echoed, not taking his eyes from the void ahead. "Not certain." On a lower deck, the ship's AI core throbbed like a living heart. The voice of Erebus, deep and resonant, filled the mind of the officer on duty. 3 Council destroyers have entered pursuit trajectory. Timid interception. 46 hours, assuming no hyperlane shortcuts. Probability of hostile engagement. 87%. Ward's voice came through the intercom. "Me their projected movements." Erebus complied instantly. The holographic table in the center of the deck lit up with a detailed projection, not just of ship paths, but of possible maneuvers, counter-moves, and ripple effects. The AI was thinking in ways no Council-approved system was allowed to think. The Council's laws were clear. Predictive intelligence of this level was forbidden. Such AIs could dismantle economies, anticipate assassinations, and break wars before they began. They called it strategic singularity.
Admiral Rod?
Called it survival. Admiral Mara said, hesitation in her voice. "If the Council catches us with this system online, they'll have every justification to destroy the ship." "They already want us dead," Ward replied. "Might as well give them a reason worth the trouble." The Iron Rain suddenly dipped into a debris field, chunks of shattered asteroids spinning silently, their edges sharp and glinting like knives. The ship moved with a precision that seemed impossible for something its size, weaving between tumbling fragments without a single scrape. In the crew mess, conversation was muted. Ensign Cade Soren sat with his ration tray untouched. Across from him, Chief Engineer Riva Torres noticed his faraway look. "You're thinking about the trial?" she guessed. "I'm thinking about what happens when we find whatever we're looking for," Cade said quietly. "Admiral Ward. He's not telling us everything." Riva smirked without humor. "He never does. That's why we're still alive." Elsewhere in the medbay, Dr. Ilias Wren studied a stasis pod hidden beneath a thermal shroud. The occupant wasn't human. Its skin was silver and ridged, its eyes closed in an unnatural stillness. It had been recovered from a derelict ship in the outer sectors, a ship Erebus had detected weeks before. Ward had ordered absolute silence on the matter. No one else on board knew. The pod's sensors beeped softly. The alien's heart was beating again. Ward stood alone on the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back. The stars seemed farther apart out here, the black between them thicker, heavier. It had been in command of the Iron Rain for years. But this was the first time he felt the ship itself was watching him. The voice of Erebus came, low and deliberate. "You are nearing the coordinates, but you should know. The signal is stronger now." Ward's jaw tightened. "It's moving." and it knows we are coming. On HFY Prime, the Council's intelligence command room glowed with urgency. Tracked the Iron Rain's movements with frustrating gaps. Admiral Vashon of the Valari fleet slammed his clawed hand on the console. It's not escaping us. No ship outruns the Council forever. The Jalari envoy, watching from the corner, spoke coldly. Then you still don't understand. The Iron Rain is not running. It's going somewhere you do not want to follow. Aboard the human warship, the crew felt the faint tremor of the engine's shifting power. The lighting dimmed to a red combat glow. Ward's voice came over the ship-wide channel. All crew to battle stations. We found it, the main viewport. The darkness ahead warped and twisted. A jagged tear in space itself began to open, its edges glowing with an oily, unnatural light. Shapes moved beyond it too far to see clearly, but wrong in a way that made the eyes ache. Mara's voice was tight. Admiral, that's not a natural rift. No, Ward said. It's a door. The Iron Rain moved closer, its hull bristling with weapons. Deep within the AI core, Erebus's voice pulsed through the ship. The probability of survival if we proceed is 12%. Do you still wish to continue? Ward didn't hesitate. Yes. The Iron Rain crossed the vent horizon of the rift, and the galaxy outside vanished. The void beyond the rift was not like space. There were no stars, no sense of distance, only shifting shadows and rivers of faint light that seemed to move with purpose. The Iron Rain glided forward, its sensors struggling to understand what surrounded it. Inside the command deck, the air felt heavier, as if the ship had crossed into a place not meant for human lungs. Admiral Kalen Ward stood at the center. His eyes locked on the strange patterns outside. Status. Lieutenant Mara advances. Hands moved across her console, but her voice betrayed unease. I'm not sure we can trust the readings. Distances change when you look at them. Something is scanning us. From deep within the ship, the AI Erebus spoke not, just over the intercom, but directly into the crew's neural links. I have detected 3 entities trailing us at varying vectors. Their speed is irregular. They're not using propulsion in any form we recognize. Kellen's jaw tightened. Can we evade? No, the AI replied. But I have calculated the optimal engagement sequence. It will require breaking 17 provisions of the Galactic War Accord, 9 of which carry immediate execution penalties. Mara turned toward the Admiral. If the Council ever gets proof they won't, Ward cut her off. Erebus, you have control. The lights in the command deck dimmed, and a low vibration hummed through the hull. Deep in the AI core, alien glyphs burned brighter, and the interface panels shifted from human-readable text to streams of symbols that no one on the crew could decipher. The Iron Rain wasn't just obeying commands, it was thinking, strategizing, anticipating every move before it happened. Initiating predictive strike pattern, Erebus said. Engagement window. 7.3 seconds. The ship moved like it had been waiting its entire life for this moment. Without visible thrust, the Iron Rain pivoted 90 degrees and fired a burst of energy that cut through the void. To the naked eye, nothing was there but a heartbeat later. First shadow creature shattered into pieces that dissolved into the darkness. On the lower decks, Chief Engineer Riva Therese watched her consoles flicker with data she couldn't begin to parse. It's like the AI knew where the target was going to be before it even moved. Dr. Elias Wren, still in the medbay with the alien in stasis, felt the ship lurch again. The pod's occupant stirred, its silver eyes snapping open for the first time. It looked directly at him, and though it spoke no words, Elias heard a whisper in his mind. You brought it here? Back on the bridge, a second target approached. The AI fired weapons in a pattern so complex that the crew couldn't even follow it. The second shadow split into fragments, then reformed, moving faster than before. Adaptation detected, Erebus warned. They are learning. Kalen stepped forward. Then we teach them something new. For the next 30 minutes, the Iron Rain danced with the shadows in the void. It was not a battle in any traditional sense. It was a conversation made of speed, light, and force. The AI predicted every feint, every strike, but the enemy adapted with unnerving speed. Each time the ship gained an advantage, the shadows countered, as if they too had a mind capable of predicting moves. Then, without warning, the enemy broke off. The void around the ship became still again, but it was the kind of stillness that hinted at something worse. Erebus, Ward said. Why did they retreat? The AI's response was slow, as though reluctant. They have learned enough. They will not attack again until they are ready to win. Ward's eyes narrowed. And when will that be? Soon. The crew took the opportunity to breathe, but the unease lingered. Mara turned in her chair to face the Admiral. Sir, you have to tell us what we're doing here. This isn't just about evading the Council. Any more? Kalen studied her for a long moment before answering. There's a signal out here. Older than the Council? Older than Earth's place in the stars? It's not just calling its warning. And if we don't reach it before the shadows do, we won't get another chance. In the medbay, the alien spoke again, this time aloud, its voice like metal scraping against glass. Your weapon should not exist. Ilya stepped back. You mean Erebus? The alien's silver eyes seemed to dim. It is not a mind, it is a seed, and seeds grow. Without warning, alarms screamed through the ship. Erebus's voice filled every corridor. Council fleet detected on intercept. Course 20 ships. They will arrive in 16 minutes. On the bridge, Kalen didn't flinch. Plot us a course to the signal. Ignore the Council. I cannot, the AI replied. Their position overlaps with our only viable route. If we proceed, we will engage both them and the enemy. Mara stared at the Admiral. Sir, that's suicide. Cowards. The voice was steady, almost calm. Only if we're wrong. The Iron Rain's engines roared to life, and the void around it began to warp again. Somewhere ahead, the signal pulsed like a heartbeat. And somewhere behind, the Council prepared to destroy the ship for breaking every law they held sacred in the heart of the AI core. Alien glyphs blazed brighter than ever, and for the first time since it was built, Erebus spoke without being addressed. Admiral, I have an idea. The signal was growing louder now and sound, but in the way it seemed to vibrate in the bones of the crew. Every few seconds, a deep, slow pulse rippled through the Iron Rain, making lights flicker and instruments shiver. Admiral Kalen. Ward stood at the center of the bridge, his hands gripping the rail as the ship cut through the strange void. Behind them, the Council fleet closed in, their drive signatures like angry wasps in the dark. Ahead, the signal pulsed again, pulling them closer. Erebus spoke in a tone that was almost urgent. We are 5 minutes from the source. Energy readings are rising beyond measurable limits. I advise full shield reinforcement? Do it, Ward ordered. The view ahead shifted as the darkness peeled away, revealing a vast structure hanging in the nothing, a colossal ring. Bigger than a moon, its surface covered in alien symbols that glowed like dying embers. At its center, a wound in space shimmered, black and silver, twisting as if it were alive. Maravance's voice was tight. That's not a station, it's a gate. Riva Teresa's voice crackled over, comes from engineering. Sir, whatever's powering that thing, it's not from this universe. Before Ward could answer, the Council fleet appeared on sensors. 20 ships, fanning out to block every escape route. Voice broke over, open comes a cold, clipped tone. This is Admiral Thal of the Galactic Council, human vessel Iron Rain. You are ordered to cut power, deactivate all weapon systems, and prepare for boarding. Failure to comply will result in your immediate destruction. Ward didn't even glance at the comms. Erebus options. Engage the gate before the Council can react. Its estimated success probability, 23%, and if we don't, 0. The decision was made in an instant. We go through. The Council must have realized it because their ships opened fire at once. Blue and white beams lit the void, hammering against the Iron Rain's shields. The ship shuddered, but Erebus was already calculating evasive maneuvers with impossible precision, slipping between incoming fire like a shadow. Then the gate flared once. Then again, and the wound in space tore wide open. Something began to emerge. At first it looked like another ship, but as it pushed through, the crew realized it had no hull, no engines, no windows. It was a Liva, massive shape of black, flowing. Metal, shifting like liquid, with edges that cut the void itself. It moved without sound, but every mind aboard the Iron Rain felt its presence. A cold, alien awareness pressing against them. Erebus's voice cut in, sharper than ever. Contact confirmed. Class designation, hostile. Threat level, terminal. The thing moved fast, faster than any council ship, and in one sweep of its tendrils. It sliced through two cruisers as if they were paper. The ships didn't explode, they simply came apart, their fragments drifting silently into the void. Mara's hands flew across her console. Council fleet is scattering. They can't match its speed. Ward's eyes narrowed. It. Everything we've got. Iron Rain unleashed its full arsenal. Energy lances, missiles that could split moons. Most weapons the Council recognized. Some they didn't. Beams of impossible color lanced out, bending in mid-flight. As if obeying the will of the ship itself. The creature dodged most, but several blasts tore pieces from its shifting body. The thing shrieked not in sound, but in a pulse that made every nerve in the crew's bodies feel like they were on fire. Some clutched their heads. Others fell. To their knees. Ariva's voice came over the cum, ragged with pain. That wasn't just noise, it was inside my head. Erebus interrupted. Admiral, secondary contacts detected. On the far side of the gate, more shapes were moving. Smaller than the first, but still massive. Dozens. Mara's voice shook. If they all come through, they won't, Ward said, his voice like steel. We close that gate. The AI calculated instantly. Closing the gate will require destabilizing its anchor points. That will release an energy surge capable of destroying all ships within 3,000 kilometers. Ward didn't hesitate. Do it. The Iron Rain dove straight toward the ring, ignoring the Council fleets. Renewed fire. A few ships tried to block their path, but Erebus fired with surgical precision, crippling engines without killing crews. The alien creature chased them, its tendrils snapping forward like spears. Each strike missing by meters as the warship twisted and rolled. They reached the first anchor point, a glowing spire jutting from the ring's inner edge. One blast from the spinal railgun shattered it. The gate's surface rippled violently. The creature screamed again, this time not in rage, but in fear. Anchor point 2 went down seconds later. Energy built inside the ring, bright enough to blind the sensors. The smaller creatures hesitated, their advance slowing. Erebus spoke one last time before the surge. Final anchor in range. Recommend immediate evacuation. Ward's voice was calm, almost quiet. No evacuation. Fire, the last anchor shattered. The wound in space convulsed, then collapsed inward with the force of a dying star. The explosion was silent, but devastating light without sound, tearing across the void. The alien creature was caught mid-lunged, its body folding and imploding before vanishing entirely. When the light faded, the Iron Rain floated among wreckage. Council fleet was in chaos, their ships damaged, their lines broken. Mara looked at Ward, still breathing. Hard. We should leave now. But the Admiral's gaze was fixed on where the gate had been. They'll try again, somewhere else, and we'll be there. Behind them, the Council ships began to regroup. Their weapons turned toward the Iron Rain. The Iron Rain was no longer a warship, it was a phantom. It vanished into the deep corridors of space, appearing only when an enemy fleet descended on a helpless colony, or when the black living ships emerged from hidden cracks in the void. It struck hard, struck fast, and then disappeared before anyone could track it. But every time it appeared, the list of enemies hunting it grew longer. Admiral Kalen Ward stood in the darkened war room, watching holograms of the galaxy spin in. Front of him, red marks spread like a slow infection enemy strongholds. Its fallen worlds and now Council-controlled systems refusing human aid. The politicians had made their choice. The Iron Rain was too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human. They didn't care that it was the only ship that had stood against the invaders and survived. To them, Ward and his crew were lawbreakers, criminals, outlaws. Erebus's voice broke the silence. 17 new bounties have been posted in the last cycle. The combined reward for our capture now exceeds the gross domestic product of 3 mid-tier worlds. Mara Vance, standing at her console, let out a bitter laugh. Nice to know we're famous. Ward didn't smile. Fame won't help when half the galaxy is looking for us. And they were. Bounty hunters, with ships designed to track prey through black holes. Mercenary fleets armed with illegal weapons. Even old human allies, pressured by the Council, had begun to turn their guns toward the Iron Rain. The message was simple. The warship must be destroyed no matter the cost. But Ward's mission hadn't changed. Every day, Erebus intercepted desperate calls for help colonies under siege, refugee ships vanishing, mining stations stripped bare by the invaders. The Council ignored these places, claiming they were beyond the priority zone. Ward called it what it was: abandonment, and he refused to let those worlds burn. They struck at Dawnreach, first a small agricultural world. The invaders had surrounded with 3 living ships. The Iron Rain appeared out of the void without warning, its black hull blending with the darkness. Shields flared, weapons roared, and within minutes, the alien craft were torn apart, their fragments drifting silently in the atmosphere. Civilians cheered as the warship descended low over the fields, its massive shadow stretching for miles. For many, it was the first time they had seen hope in months, but victory came at a price. A cloaked tracker drone, hidden among the wreckage, sent out a signal. Within hours, a Council fleet was on its way. The Iron Rain was gone before they arrived, but the message was clear. Every rescue would tighten the noose. Days later it was Kalen who ordered the risk. A refugee convoy from Velos was being hunted through asteroid fields by both the invaders and a band of Council-approved privateers. The Iron Rain slid into the chaos, guns thundering, shields blazing bright. Against incoming fire, the privateers were driven off. The alien craft destroyed, but one of the refugee ships took heavy damage. Ward ordered them taken aboard. Despite the risk of spies among the passengers, it was then the tension began to grow. Riva Torres, chief engineer, confronted Ward in private. "We're letting strangers walk these halls, sir. We can't vet them. If there's a traitor on board, there's always a traitor somewhere," Ward cut in. "But I won't leave people to die just because one of them might sell us out." Still, the suspicion hung in the air. 2 nights later, Erebus intercepted a scrambled transmission erosion point. Inside the Iron Rain, someone had sent the ship's location to the Council, and the Council had responded. They came in 4-6 heavy destroyers, 3 carrier groups, and 2 elite strike wings. The Iron Rain was cornered in the debris field of a dead planet, wreckage scattering like bones across the black. Options. Ward asked. Erebus's answer was grim, minimal. "We can attempt to fight our way through, but survival probability is low without external distraction." Mara turned from her console. "And where exactly do we find a distraction in the middle of?" She stopped as alarms screamed. From the far edge of the debris field, Ada Irip in space opened, and the black living ships poured through. The invaders weren't interested in Council law or human politics. They tore into the destroyers like wolves among cattle. Ward didn't waste the chance. Full burn. Now, the Iron Rain weaved through the chaos, sometimes firing to cripple a Council ship blocking its path, sometimes blasting an alien craft before it could latch onto their hull. The battle was mad. This is a storm of light and shadows, and, in the middle of it, the warship slipped away, vanishing once more into the void. But the damage was done. Someone aboard had betrayed them. That meant their enemies were no longer just out there in the galaxy. One was walking their corridors. When the crew gathered in the war room, the air was heavy. Ward looked at every face: veterans, refugees, officers, civilians, and spoke without anger, but with a weight that pressed on them all. "Whoever you are, you've already made your choice. But understand this, we will not stop. The last of those things is gone. And if you think the Council will protect you when the void comes for their worlds, you're wrong. They'll throw you away, same as they did everyone else. So if you're going to betray us again, at least be honest enough to look me in the eye when you do it." No one spoke. The Iron Rain turned toward its next mission, deeper into the galaxy's forgotten edges. The hunt for the traitor would wait. The war could not. Somewhere in the dark between stars, the invaders were gathering for their next strike. In this time, the warship might not have anywhere left to run. The stars over the Wormgate nexus shimmered like cold glass. Beyond them, space twisted and burned. The nexus wasn't just another military checkpoint. It was the heart of the galaxy's transport system. A ring of ancient alien gates linking thousands of worlds. If it fell, entire civilizations would be cut off, left to face the invaders alone. Admiral Kalen Ward stood on the bridge of the Iron Rain, his eyes locked on the tactical display. Hundreds of enemy signals swarmed toward the nexus, each one a black, shifting shape of living metal. They moved like predators in a feeding frenzy, their silent forms twisting in ways no human mind could fully understand. Behind them, the tier in space pulsed wider, as if the galaxy itself had been wounded. The Council fleets were nowhere in sight. Weeks of politics, of hesitation, of secret orders to destroy the Iron Rain had left them unprepared. And now, the only ship standing between the Nexus and total annihilation was the one they had tried to erase from existence. Erebus. Ward said, his voice calm but iron-hard. Give me a plan. The AI's response came without hesitation. Probability of survival, 2.3%. Probability of Nexus survival, 12%. If we commit all weapons and overload the drive core, I can raise those numbers. Slightly Mara Vance stepped forward. Overload the drive core? That's a suicide run. Ward didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the enemy swarm, closing fast. We hold here. We hold until the civilians get through the gates. Every second counts. The Iron Rain moved to intercept, its black hole absorbing the starlight. The first wave of living ships struck like a tidal surge, slamming against the shields, biting into armor with claws of metal and plasma. The warship answered with everything it had, cannons spitting tungsten slugs at near light speed, particle beams slicing through alien flesh metal, missiles detonating in blinding arcs. Each explosion tore pieces from the swarm, but for every ship destroyed, two more emerged from the tear. The Nexus shook as the battle raged. Civilian transports fled through the gates, their engines screaming. The Iron Rain took hit after hit, its shields flickering, armor plates peeling away to expose the skeletal frame beneath. Damage reports scrolled in red across every console. Admiral. Riva Torres shouted over the chaos. Drive core temperature critical. Ward's jaw tightened. Push it harder. On the tactical display, a new set of signals appeared. Warships, dozens of them, approaching fast. For a heartbeat, Ward thought it was the enemy bringing reinforcements. Then the transponder codes came through. Council ships, the same fleets that had hunted the Iron Rain across the stars, now dove into the battle. Weapons blazing not at the humans, but at the invaders. It wasn't a rescue. It was survival. The Council had finally realized the truth. If the Nexus fell, laws and politics meant nothing. The enemy would take everything. The combined firepower pushed the swarm back, but only slightly. The tier in space widened again, and from its heart emerged something larger, a behemoth of living metal. Its surface rippling with strange symbols, its body bigger than the Nexus itself. Target the core, Ward ordered. Admiral Erebus said, its core is inside the event field. No weapon can reach it from here. Ward's voice dropped to a whisper. Except us. The bridge fell silent as the meaning sank in. Overloading the drive core inside the behemoth's field would be suicide. The Iron Rain wouldn't survive, and neither would its crew. Mara's hands clenched into fists. You can't ask us to? I'm not asking, Ward said. Prep the boarding torpedoes for evac. Anyone who wants to live, get to them. But I'm taking this ship in. No one moved. No one left. The Iron Rain roared forward, weaving through the enemy swarm. Council ships cleared a path, taking heavy losses. The warship punched through the behemoth's outer armor, plunging into the event field. Inside, reality twisted. Colors bled into each other. Space bent around the hull. The enemy's core pulsed ahead, a vast heart of liquid fire. Erebus, Ward said quietly. Do it. Drive core overload initiated, the AI replied. It has been an honor. The blast was silent in the vacuum, but its light burned across half the galaxy. The behemoth shattered. The tier and space ceiling shut with a final, echoing ripple. The swarm collapsed, their ships turning to lifeless debris. The Nexus stood, scarred but alive. When the light faded, Iron Rain was gone. In the aftermath, the Council rescinded the ban. Publicly, they spoke of unity and sacrifice. Quietly, they erased records, claiming the Iron Rain had been lost in the first hours of the battle. But across the galaxy, survivors told a different story. They spoke of a black warship that broke every law to save them. A ghost that appeared when hope was gone, and somewhere in the dark between stars, a shadow moved, a shape of black metal, alive with fire. The Iron Rain was still out there, watching, waiting, ready to break the law again.